Have you ever been in a debate and suddenly it feels less like a conversation and more like a cross-examination? Your opponent isn't really making arguments, they're just hammering you with this relentless barrage of questions. Before you can even get a word out, boom, there are three more coming your way.
Yeah, what's happening in that moment, that's not a real conversation. Let's be very clear. It is a calculated trap, and it is deliberately designed to confuse you, to exhaust you, and ultimately to make you stumble.
This tactic actually has a name. It's called the endless question assault. It's basically the weaponization of curiosity, where questions aren't used to learn, they're used as an attack. So today, we are going to decode this little dark psychological trick and show you exactly how to shut it down. Now, to shut this down, it is absolutely crucial to understand the real goal. The person doing this isn't interested in your answers at all. Nope, their goal is something else entirely, pure dominance. Think about it. A healthy debate, right? It uses something like Socratic questioning. You ask questions to clarify things, to maybe find some common ground. The endless question assault, though, is the polar opposite. It is all about control. The questions are just tools to manage the conversation and force you onto the defensive. And to do this, they've got a whole arsenal. They'll kick things off with questions that are really just veiled character attacks. Then, they'll completely derail the conversation with something totally unrelated. And finally, they bring out their most powerful weapon, the loaded question trap.
So why is this tactic so ridiculously effective? Well, it's because it triggers a very specific psychological failure. Let's break down what's known as the cognitive overload trap. By just pelting you with questions, one after the other, they are deliberately preventing your brain from settling on any single topic long enough to form a complete, coherent thought. It's kind of like an intellectual hit and run, and it is designed to make even the smartest people look like they're fumbling.
And get this isn't some obscure tactic for professional debaters. A stunning 90% of arguments on the internet devolve into this within just the first few replies. And why? Because it's the lazy debater's cheat code. Asking 10 bad questions is easy, properly answering even one of them is exhausting.
Okay, now we have to talk about their most devious tool of all, the presupposition trap. This is where they embed an attack right into the very structure of the question, creating a scenario where you just can't win.
I mean, just look at a question like this. How do you even begin to answer it? The real debate isn't about the policies anymore, is it? It's a trap, and it's designed to make you start defending the absurd premise that you are evil in the first place.
So this forces you to spend all of your energy just trying to correct this ridiculous assumption. And to anyone who's watching, you don't look like you're winning. You just look defensive and tangled up. Meanwhile, your opponent, they look like they just asked a simple, sharp question.
All right, enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. To take back control, we're going to use a simple strategy called the anchor point framework.
The core idea here is really simple, but it is so powerful. You cannot win their game, so you have to refuse to play it. The key is to starve them of the information and the reactions that they feed on. This framework has 3 crystal clear steps. First, stop chasing every rabbit they throw at you. Your gut instinct is to answer every single point, but that's exactly what they want you to do. Second, you deploy information starvation. And third, you force the anchor point.
So what does information starvation look like in the real world? Think of it as your shield. When you get hit with a loaded or a totally irrelevant question, you give a simple one-word answer. No, irrelevant. That is it. Don't elaborate. This completely shatters their rapid-fire momentum and gives them nothing to work with.
And once you've broken their rhythm, you use step 3 to regain control. You firmly anchor the conversation back to your original point. You can just look them in the eye and say, I will gladly answer that right after you finish addressing my first point. This is the psychological hack that flips the entire dynamic. Now, you've put them on the spot.
Ultimately, this all boils down to a pretty fundamental question about why we argue in the first place. Is it a search for truth, or is it a performance of dominance? Recognizing the difference between those two is everything. Once you see the performance for what it is, you can simply refuse to be an actor in their play.